Okay, so I guess okay, you're the only one to join this new one. All right, so but I'm recording it, so it should be okay. At least everybody can watch it later. All right. So here's what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and share this. Now what you should be seeing is my CentOS. Yeah, okay, good. My CentOS output window. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is if you follow along in the PDF, we're going to be doing the practice from section 2, running commands as root. All right. So we logged in as student, as you can see here, right? We're logged in as the student user here, right? And we are currently in the student's home directory. So we are where we're supposed to be. Okay. Now, we opened up the terminal. Again, you can do that application or activities and click on terminal and that'll open that up. Okay. All right, there's a couple of different ways we showed you last time about how to do that, so I won't go through all that again. All right, so we want to look at some different information about who I am. So we want to, what's the ID command? ID is going to tell me who I am. So notice that my user ID is student. My group ID is also student, but really my group ID is 1001 and my user ID is 1001. That's the most important information there. The groups I'm a part of, I'm only a part of the student group. Okay. And then if we want to see what my working directory is, what is my, well, I'm in my home directory. So my working directory is starting from the root of the system, the home of the system is /home/student. So this is my working directory. Okay. It's also my home. Okay. If I want to echo, I want to say what is the home directory. So let's see. Nothing in there. Okay. So if I say what's the current working directory here, I'm going to see that it's home student documents. But if I were to say what is the directory, that's just home student. Okay. If I said what is the path, this is like the path, this is like the different information about like where different files are found. So local bin for binaries, home student bin, home student local bin. So these are different, this is the path. This is where it's going to be looking for certain types of files. Okay. So now I want to become the root. Okay. Now the root, when you installed this on your computer, you should have set up a root user. You need to have a root user. Every system, every Linux system is going to have a root user. Let me take 1 second. I want to make sure this is being recorded before I... Yes, it is. Okay, good. Okay. Didn't want to mess that up. Okay, so I want to go and get and become the root user. Now, I don't want to just gain root access for a single command. I want to actually go into the root user and do some stuff. Okay, now I could use the SU command, remember switch user, and no user ID is going to try to put me into the root user. Now it's going to ask for the root user's password. See if I can remember what that is. Okay, good. Whew. Now notice without the dash, here's some different information that you can find out from just looking at this. Okay, one is notice that up here, okay, so notice that I'm still in the documents directory. Okay, so if I were to say print working directory, I'm still in that same directory, home, student, documents. And the reason why was because I didn't do the dash. Okay, notice something else. Here, when I was as my user, I had the $sign here, but now it's telling me, hey, you're running as the root now. This pound sign or hash sign, or I think you guys call it the kade, right? This tells me that I'm acting as the root user. And then this information over here tells me what user I'm currently logged in as, which one user I'm currently operating as. Okay, so let me exit back out for just a second. Okay, so now exit gets me back into my student account, back at was. Let's say I did SU with a dash. Okay, and I type in the password. Now notice the difference. Now I'm no longer in the documents directory. I am now in the root directory, which is the root's home directory. Okay. Okay. Notice all the rest of the stuff is still the same. There's still the root information here, who I'm currently operating as, and the pound sign, hash sign, saying that you are operating as the root user, not as a local user. Okay, these are some important information you can see from what you're doing here. Okay, again, SU without a dash keeps me in the same working directory. SU with a dash moves me into the user I'm going into their home directory. Okay. And again, we can do the echo home and echo path here. So let's see. If we go up, notice that the more I go up, it's not doing anything. I can't go up any further than front working directory, exit front working directory. I can't do anything more. That's because these are the only commands I've run in the current user that I'm operating as. I can't go back and use these again because these were not executed by this user. Okay. If we were to do the history, we would see these are the only ones I've done so far as root. Okay. So I'll type it in, echo home. Now this is not the home student anymore. Echo path is slightly different as well. Okay, so again, exit gets me out of the root back into my student user. But I already showed you that, so let me go ahead while I'm still at root, do a couple of other things later in the guided exercise. If I look at the ID, notice my user ID is 0, root. My group ID is also 0. My groups that I belong to, that's the only group I belong to. Okay, we already did print working directory here. Okay. So we can go ahead and exit out back to student. Right? One of the things it wants us to do is to look at the last 5 right? Now, what happened? I cannot run this as the student because the student doesn't have access to that file. So I'm going to have to run this as the root, right? As the power user. So I can do this one of 2 ways. I can either go back using the sudo command back into the root user and become the root and do this. But if I really just need to run this one command, just run this one command, right? As the root, I don't need to do a bunch more stuff. All right, then I can just do it this way with the sudo command. So up, go back to the beginning, go, okay. Okay, now I need the password for student, all right? So, the student is not in the sudoers file. I need to add the student to the sudoers file, which means I probably need to log in as root and add them to the sudoers file. I did not realize that was the case in setting this up. So here's what I'll do. I will, let's see, I'll switch it. Because he should be sudo file. Okay. There we go. Okay. So notice here, as my account who is in the sudoers file, I can run the sudo command, right? But I wonder if I could have done this without the sudo command. See, don't have permission to read that file, so therefore I needed the sudo command even as JLaday. Okay, but once I run it as the sudo, then I can see it. Okay. What else it tells us to do here? Make a backup of the configuration file in the etc directory. Okay, so if we did this, let's see. CP. It's going to tell me, nope, can't do that. But I can do it using sudo. So let's verify ls/etc. And let's see, is that file there? Should start with an M. There it is, right? MOTD old, right there. Good, so we created it. So now we need to delete it because we don't want to leave that around. etc/MOTD old. Yes. Can't do it. Oh yeah, I got a sudo. See, this is an example of a time where you might want to go ahead and log in as root, because every time that we've had to go back and type sudo, it would have would have been easier to just go ahead and switch over into do the switch user into the root in order to make that happen. So notice MOTD old, no longer there. So we're good. All right. So like, all right. We can edit a configuration file. I won't do that because it doesn't. You have to use the sudo. I won't do that here. All right. Because I want to go ahead and skip on into the second practice because this is taking longer than I imagined it would. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to create a user. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and exit out of me. Exit out of. I didn't mean to exit. See, I thought it was in root. Sorry. Let's go ahead and pull up my terminal. SU into root. Okay. So now, let me go back again because I want to show you that I cannot use or add Juliet. Let's not do Juliet. Let's do John. Oh, can't do it, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and, like I said, now into root, and now we can press up. Notice it's all the stuff that we've had as root on this system, okay? But we never had a user add. Adding the user John. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what the last two lines of the etc password file are. Notice here the last two users created were student and John, right? So John here with the user ID 1002. Notice it just keeps adding one each time. Okay. Now we may want to give. Now doesn't have a password, right? If we were to go to, let's see, tail, instead of the etc password, let's look at the shadow. Because notice here the password field is just an X for both of them, right? So let's take a look at what the etc shadow file tells me. Now John that doesn't look like what it should look like, right? And the reason why is we haven't set a password for John yet, so he's just got these 2 exclamation points there. All right, so that's just telling me his password's locked. He can't log in. Right now, John cannot log in to this system because he doesn't have a password. Right? So we need to give a password to John. So we can give John the password of, let's make it simple to remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which will tell me, no, I can't do that, but I can because I'm root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. So now John has the password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, which is very, very secure. So now if we go back and look at that Etsy shadow file again, notice now John has information about his password in here, right? Look at all that. He has a hash. He has a hashing algorithm. He has the salt here up until here. And then he has this whole bunch of stuff here, right? So that's all that's his password. That's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 becomes when we encrypt it. Okay. All right. So again, the root is allowed to change the password to something that does not fit, is not good. Okay. So we can add another password, another user. His name is also going to be John, but different John. All right. Okay. This would be the Romeo, right? Okay. And we can just basically add a bunch of, it's just going through, this whole guided exercise just goes through a lot of changing users and adding users and changing their passwords. Okay. And as we can see is as we add these users, user add. Okay, so these are all just my family's names. Okay. So then when I go to look at, I guess I don't need that. Etsy password file. Notice here all these users that got added right there. Notice that if I were to look into the Etsy shadow file, however, these users that I just added, I didn't change their password, they all don't have passwords here. Okay? All right. So let's see. Let's go. We already created users. That's what we were just doing. Yes. Okay. Now, groups, similarly, we can add groups and we can add people to groups. So here, let's go ahead and let's do some of that. Group, add. So we're going to add the Lede group. Okay, and I'm going to add all my group, add. We'll call the next one the programmers group. All right, so I've created these 2 groups, the day group and programmers, and I want to add, so let's take a look at the, so you see here, notice again, as we've said before, these groups here, the groups, when I created the user and, it automatically created an and group. When I created the user Grace, it automatically created a Grace group. Same thing with Joshua. Now these new groups here, this Lede and these programmers group, They were created by me. They weren't created because there's a user that exists with that name. Okay. So I'm going to be able to add, right? So I want to add Grace user odd. I want to not Grace. I want to add Anne to the Leday group. So I'm modifying the user Anne, adding her to a group as the Leday group. Okay. So let's take a look at Anne. Notice she's she's got a user ID, she's got a primary group that has not changed, and she's been added to the Leday group. Notice if I were to do ID for me, notice I'm not in the Leday group here, right? Because I haven't added myself to it yet. Now I want to add multiple users. Now I want to add the rest of, I want to add to the Leday group. I want to add Brad. I want to add Grace. And remember, the way I'm getting there fast is just pressing the up arrow and then just changing the one part I want to be different. Okay. Now I want to add also to the programmers group myself. Okay. But I also want to add my son Brad. He likes writing code and stuff. Okay. So now if I look at my information, okay. Well, now wait a second. I thought I added myself to the Leday group. Well, let's check out Brad. What do you think happened? What did I do? Because I added him to the Leday group. Now he's just in the programmers group. What's wrong? Anybody think they know? Anybody who was here in the first hour? No comments? Nope. Well, there's only a few of you guys here, so maybe you guys don't remember. The problem is that when we do this, the -G adds them to that group as a supplementary group, but it doesn't. If we don't include A for append, then what happens is that it wipes out any other groups they're a part of. So if I were to say, okay, I want him to be appended to the Leday group. So now if we look at Brad's ID, now he's in both Leday and programmers. And if we do the same for me, all right, ID for me, now I'm in both of them as well. Okay. All right, so that's that. Oh, also, we can also look at the Etsy group file. And see that in the Leday group, there's Anne, Grace, Joshua, Brad, Joseph. In the programmers group, there's just Joseph and Brad. And that's exactly how we would want it to be. And so that's what we wanted there. All right, one more practice. Okay. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to lock a user. Okay, so we want to lock, let's exit out of, let's get into the student again, I believe. let's lock. Who should we lock? Let's lock me. Let's lock Joseph. Okay. Oh. Forgot to do the mod up, user mod. Okay. So I need the password for student. Oh, that's right. Student is not in the pseudo style. Thank you. All right. So now I'm going to use a mod. Okay. So now if we go and try to log in as Joseph, did we give Joseph a password? I can't remember. Joseph doesn't have a password. Okay, let's do this. I see now. I see what I'm doing. Need to do. I need to lock John actually. So let's lock John. The C-A-N John, not the J-O-N. Password so he can log in. Okay. Now, if we look at his Etsy shadow file, notice his password now starts with everything else the same. Everything else is just as it was before, but now he has this exclamation point at the start of it. That means it's locked. That means that if he tries to log in, he will not be allowed to. So if we try to go into John and type in his password, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, it will say, nope, can't do it. Authentication failure. Now, it doesn't tell him, and there's security reasons for why, but it doesn't tell him why he failed. It just tells him that we couldn't let you log in. Right? He doesn't know if it's a wrong password. He doesn't know why. Right? And so let's unlock him. And there's security reasons for that, because usually if we've locked an account, not usually, sometimes if we've locked an account, we don't want the user to know why we've locked the account. Okay. All right. So we're going to unlock it. Let's make sure that his information is back. Yep. Good. That's right. Good. So now let's try to log in as John. There you go. Now he can log in. Great. All right, so let's get out of him. Okay. I need some passwords for my other folks, don't I? Let's see, let me change some stuff. Let's see. Let's do it with John, actually. Sudo -elm90 John. John. Okay. So now notice that I changed that he needs to change his password by February 4th, 90 days from now. What's the date? Oh, wait. What was it that I needed to do? Let me see. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. How to do the date command where it shows you what the date is, like X number of days out. It's over here. Oh, -D plus 45 days. Ugh. Date -D plus 90. February 4th, right? So February 4th, 2021 is when his password will expire. Okay, which means that he'll need to change it after that, at this point. Okay. Let's see. So if we wanted to force a password change, we could do that using the CHA -D0 John. Okay, so now last password change. Password must be changed. Password must be changed. Password must be changed. So we're basically forcing him to change the password on the next time. Okay. So now, if we try to log in as John, it's going to tell me what is his password. I can type in the old password. And you're required to change your password immediately. Administrator enforced. We forced him to change his password. Now, if I said, okay, well, you know what, my password used to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to make it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, sorry, it needs the current password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, fine. I'll just make the maybe something happened. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, what's the new password? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, you can't do that. And it won't let me retype it. Like, as an administrator, as a root, I could have just retyped it even though it was a bad password. We saw that earlier. So now, if I want to change it to something, I'll have to change it to something that is acceptable, such as maybe KIZ. Oh, it's shorter than 8 characters. Octanese. I do need something on the end. Yeah, okay. IZ with a capital U. Octanese U. Okay. So now it changed John's password to something that is allowed. Okay. So I'm able to log in. All right. Okay. So then I'll exit out of John. Exit out of John. Okay. Now I'm back in JLaday. Now, what is a date? 180 days in the future. Can we please put up to 120, please? Right? Okay, that would be May 5th. Okay. So now I want to set my John account to expire on that date. Okay, so age dash E 20 2021 dash, and by the way, this is month and then day, so it's year, month, day. So month, well, I guess it doesn't really matter either way. 0505. Okay. Like that. Why did it not like that? Oh, I needed to set it for an account. John. Okay. So now if I take a look at what John looks like, notice that his account is going to expire on May 5th, 2020. Okay, so perfect. We did it. Congratulations to all of us. Yay. What? Let's see, are we on the right place? Okay, so that finishes all the practices. Okay, actually that took a lot longer than I was expecting, but we do actually have to get through chapter 6. We have to get through the intro to chapter 6 for today. So I will go ahead and give one more break, and then what we'll do is we will come back and we'll have one more recording, one more meeting. It'll be a short one since it's just the intro to chapter 6. And so what we'll do is we'll just do the first couple sections of chapter 6 at 11:30. Okay, so 10 minutes. I'll see you at 11:30.